Now, everyone, and welcome back to Roleplaying with Act Accordingly, where we test our ostensible friendship in the veritable crucible that is an imaginary world. And this is Session 6 of Genesis of Infinity. Hooray! Yay! We are... half the party's gone.
Okay.
They shall return momentarily, but there are mysterious things afoot that are preventing them from being here. And it's totally planned. But when we last left our adventurers, they had travelled down a proverbial rabbit hole, and currently you stand at the floor of a dry, rugged canyon with sheer walls of plunging, cracked red rock. Blood is daubed in strange hieroglyphic sigils on the walls. Lining these walls are shelves of stone jutting out at odd angles, which support ramshackle huts constructed from animal skins and bone, in front of which stand hundreds of the similarly adorned creatures that you encountered and fought the night before. They chant quietly in their alien guttural language as you all arrive through the circle of blood that transported you to this strange location. Curling, menacing boughs of brambles pierce through the rock and surround these buildings, rising up above the ravine and intertwining into a thorny sort of ceiling. They blot out the sun, but for a single, almost perfectly circular shaft of light in the distance. This ray of light illuminates a massive tower, constructed from hundreds of clocks and cogs, all immaculately layered upon one another in a display of craftsmanship, the likes of which none of you have ever witnessed. It pulsates an unusual but unmistakably magical energy, something that feels oddly familiar, but also one you couldn't possibly have encountered before. As awe-inspiring as the tower may be, your attention is dominated by the creature that landed before you. The massive dragon's black scales ripple with green and purple iridescence in what little light filters through the brambles above. And you realize, as you instinctively, defensively draw together, that two of your party members are inexplicably missing. But you dare not pull your gaze away from the monster who could easily swallow any of you whole. The dragon's teeth are bared in what you can't quite place as either a snarl or a grin, and it keeps its eyes firmly fixed on Jhaeros, as it speaks in a rumbling hiss.
Finally, one capable of freeing my brother.
Oh my god, it's a dragon. Right, yes, hi. Oh wow, I'm sorry, it's my first time encountering...
What is your name, mortal?
Yes, Jhaeros Naarheid.
A noble elf.
Yes.
Interesting.
And would I be so bold as to ask for your name?
In time.
How did you come about your adornments? She sort of dips her head and indicates the armor, and particularly your arm, which you have replaced with the prosthetic.
Oh, right. This, well, I made it myself.
Made it?
Yes, I crafted it.
It sort of lumbers forward, every step that it takes just quaking as it draws closer to you. And as you watch, its body contorts and condenses. It shrinks to a size equivalent of your own, and in moments, a winged female dragonborn with the same iridescent black scales stands before you in a flowing gown of purple lace draped around her, fixed at the shoulders with silver clasps with obsidian stones housed in them. This seems to be a practical transformation merely so that they can get closer and observe the prosthetic. She places a clawed hand underneath your elbow and raises it slightly, inspecting it, kind of dispassionately regarding you as though you're merely an extension of it.
I've never seen someone create something so intricate.
Well, I am one of a kind, what can I say?
I think you might flatter yourself there.
She releases your arm.
There are few creatures on this plane which are truly one of a kind.
She smooths down her gown as though the answer would be obvious.
Yes, well, as from your remarks, I'd imagine you haven't seen anything quite like this before, or like this. And you'll see the flap fall down and King will just fly out and circle above.
Most irregular.
Who watches it, eyes fixed on it as King circles above you.
Perhaps you are exactly what we need to get inside.
Inside of that,
Of course.
what? I mean, if you don't mind me asking, it's fantastic. What is it?
This
She turns and gestures to it with a grand sweep, her wings fluttering in the dead air around you.
is the Chronolith.
She seems to pause and wait for, as though this should have some enormity to you and it should be sinking in. But it doesn't really mean anything to any of you.
What's that?
As you can see, it is a grand tower of magical innovation.
All I see are a bunch of clocks.
How dare you?
Can you not tell the time, or?
It's not simply about telling the time. This is mastery of draconic magic.
It's not really an explanation.
If I was to explain it to you, your mind would burst, you tiny, insignificant insect of a dwarf.
We'll see whose mind bursts first.
You do notice as she's saying this that there's something she's hiding behind that. You can't really tell.
Behind herself, or?
No, but just behind that comment about
Yeah.
about the fact that it's not an explanation.
Let's go take a
Could I do an Arcana check on the...
Yeah, absolutely. Go nuts.
And I'll use Flash of Genius as well. 20, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. So it is a magic you haven't encountered before, but there's something about it that is strangely reminiscent of what House Naarheid practices in terms of the alchemical and the artifice focus that all of the members of your household practice, in terms of like magic that is used to empower inanimate objects, but also living ones. It seems to be like the apex of that kind of magic. You couldn't really explain it if you tried to tell another person what it was, but you know that it's something powerful, and obviously, from what you can infer from the situation, it has something to do with time.
I'd hope so.
When you said it was familiar, was that just him?
Just to
familiar,
Jhaeros,
right? Okay,
yeah.
cool.
He felt something familiar about the energy.
Well, Cullen, have you seen anything quite like this?
Sorry?
Oh god, never mind. Right.
Is your brain back from dinosaur mode?
It's a dragon.
Oh, what, that thing?
Yes.
I know, how amazing.
What, you've never seen a dragon before?
Not up close. I've only read about them in books.
Finally, someone who knows some respect. Deference in the form of whispers. It's nothing quite like it.
I kind of like just keep my head kind of like down and try and avoid direct eye contact.
Whereas I'm staring at her, like straight in the eyes.
I think I'm just more focused on the clock.
I do adore humans, the most mortal of mortals.
There's a little bit of a shake in Cullen, but he's like, Your... Well, you didn't give us a name. No, what were you saying?
Nothing, never mind. You just do what you're doing. It's fine. It's
Just can you go back to continuing just looking at between the dragon and then the Chronolith tower and just kind of like taking it all in, still in shock.
What's your name, dragon?
I suppose it's only fair. I haven't told it to anyone in centuries.
She prepares herself, almost as though she's about to go on stage. She raises her arms and gives somewhere halfway between a curtsy and a bow that one might give royalty, or that royalty would expect of them. And she dips her head ever so slightly and says,
My name is Gairi.
Get a spell check on that.
yes, it is Gaeri. Jhaeros. You recall from your studies that hundreds of years ago, when Zebriodan was very young, dragons came from other planes, bringing aspects of their homelands with them. Gairi is a name that you recognize from amongst the most powerful of those creatures, ones that they considered, even amongst their own kind, to be supreme. You do know that she has some connection, although not how strongly, you're aware. You know she has some connection to a region of the other lands known as the Shadowfell, and that darkness would be her greatest domain. You do also know that she was involved in the Great Draconian Conflict, which was a war between dragons a long, long time ago, before most of the mortal races walked on the plane. But that's the extent of your knowledge. A lot of what you can recall about dragons is surrounded in myth, and there's a lot of conjecture as to actual players involved in conflicts between them. And after all, history is written by the victors.
In regards to that, how much do I know? Do I need a history check, or do I say some of the stuff that I would know that's different, or would I know the same amount, or would...
You can do a religion check,
Religion?
actually.
Okay. Crap, I'm not proficient in religion.
Don't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
That was a 6.
We're just going to turn the sun on.
Oh, that's not actually as bad.
The 6 he rolls on his religion check.
I'm not for religious.
You've got it.
I ain't using
Sorry,
flash.
that's why I
ain't
said
using
history.
flash genius.
I said I'm books, man, books.
Gairi is a name that you have heard whispered in the shadows in, like, cults from Northern Rawn. That's the extent you're aware of.
Any relation to any other dragon kin or anything? I just know that. That's all.
You don't know her relationship to it, but you're aware of rumors of another dragon in the volcano in Rawn.
Okay,
Again, rumors. It's a massive country.
It's kind of like I hear it and like I know there's a book that mentioned it somewhere.
Yeah,
and I need
exactly.
to find that information.
You're also
Yeah.
not book smart, dude.
My focus goes from the clock tower as soon as I hear her say her name. Sorry, did you say Gairi?
I did. The heiress of the shadows.
Right.
And she looks around with her eyes glinting. They're a sort of shimmery purple color. And you can see she feels enamored by the darkness that you're surrounded in.
And if you don't mind me asking, why are you here of all places? I was under the impression you'd be from more around the Shadowfell area.
She places a clawed finger to her lip and and walks a few steps closer to you.
I would think that one who can create something like this would be more intelligent.
That's what he thought wrong.
Thank you.
You see, many of the supreme worms vanished after the Great Draconian conflict. One of them was my brother, and he is imprisoned within.
Imprisoned, and who put him there?
Alas, that I cannot say.
You don't know?
I would share anything I could with you if it would aid in his release.
Yet you expect myself to be able to open it with very minimal information about how to in the first place.
My siblings are very specific. I believe that in spite of my vast accumulating power, there are precise conditions that need to be met in order to gain entrance.
Sorry.
Speak human.
Is your brother chromatic as well?
My brother is unique. Neither chromatic, although I suppose one could potentially say metallic.
So not like you.
No, not like me. There are no dragons like me.
But it's your brother,
Not
you say?
anymore.
But your brother.
Yes.
And what do you intend to do if he's freed? What is your goal?
This world, this plane, it's surrounded by all sorts of energy from all sorts of places. But it seems to be separated, and we keep it all at a distance. We choose not to integrate it, because that energy, that power, it scares mortals, it scares people. But if I set my brother free, he can enter this primitive world, and he can use the power of the Chronolith to awaken it. When my brother is free, I will have him spread his knowledge across this plane, and we will see a grand new age of society ushered in, civilization. It will be glorious. You hear a scraping, scuttling noise, and off to the side, the little wagon that was previously sealed, housing Karlov, that came through the portal with you, opens slowly. And Karlov slides out. He sort of levitates horizontally, and then places himself delicately on his feet. I couldn't agree more. An age of civilization. Isn't that what we all look forward to, friends?
Well,
He smiles with his fanged teeth.
somehow I don't think that equality amongst all factors into your plan. Don't shush me, I will crush you.
Very well, very well. He straightens his linen shirt. Yes, but imagine what we could do if we made use of power such as this. I'm sorry. He makes his way over towards Gaily. Karlov Yunst, Prince of Arklestad. She offers her hand to him, and he kisses it delicately. My word, you travel with strange folks, and immortal as well. Karlov straightens up, and he takes a step away from her. Friends, this is a fantastic opportunity. Can't you see this is everything we've been searching for? This tower?
At this point, Cullen looks around and is like, where's Silas?
Oh yeah, I hadn't noticed.
There were more of you.
And
Two others.
Nephris was before us through the portal as well.
This is most unusual. I created the teleportation circle myself. The orcs, she gestures with her nose at the gathered creatures who are still chanting in Abyssal.
Do I know what they're saying?
They seem to be repeating the phrase for the shadows.
circle, didn't you?
I do not make mistakes.
So you sent them somewhere else then? Is that what you're saying?
Perhaps. The portal seems to have operated correctly. Maybe someone's interfered with it.
And who would want to interfere with you?
I doubt they know it's me.
Right.
I'm rather subtle.
As she says this, you notice for the first time that she has a visible shadow, even in the darkness, and it like squirms as she speaks.
That's great.
Like blacker than black.
I'll click my fingers and King will just fly back into my arm. A moment, please, if you will. Not that this isn't fascinating or anything. I need to speak to my companions for a moment.
I have waited nearly 1,000 years. I can wait a few more moments.
Excellent.
She moves off to the side, and Karlov sort of raises a finger and follows after her and speaks to her in hushed tones. He's obviously, even though he's a prince from where he comes from, he's lowering his head and making sure that he's beneath her to some capacity.
Gentlemen, if you will, and I'll hush you both in to come closer. I don't like... I'm talking quietly, I just want to put that out there.
Be very specific. You know what happens if you don't tell me you're whispering.
I am whispering,
Yeah.
trying to be as quiet as possible.
Okay.
Right.
Dice roll.
Fucking.
What? I didn't look, is he smiling?
Everyone has passive perception.
No. I mean, I don't know.
Let's just go.
Is he smiling? Don't look at him. Gentlemen, personally, I'm fascinated by this, and I would love to jump at this opportunity, but, and I was about to, but Karlov...
Seems too eager.
Too eager. Now, I didn't listen in on Silas's conversation earlier with Nephris, but I heard him hushing over a few things, like talking quietly, and it seemed like he was eyeing off Karlov quite a bit, and I don't know if we should really trust him.
Silas or Chronolith?
Well, either, but then in our direct case right now, Karlov.
I don't think we can trust Chronolith. He's much too invested in this. And this dragon says that the knowledge will spread across the continent. I doubt it. The powerful will take what they can, leave nothing for everyone else.
Even if we, I do agree with you, but even with agreeing with you, we're still missing two of our party. And Cullen seems quite formidable.
There's not much we can really do about that if we don't know where they are. They could be anywhere.
But they went through the portal before us.
If someone messed with the magic, I mean, how far can a teleportation circle take you?
He has a point.
So we should look for them, or should we open this chronolith?
I don't like that our party are split in two. I would like to get rid of Karlov in this instance. It seems like we're at a bit of a disadvantage. Not that a worm couldn't already destroy us, but...
Well, do you know what might work? I mean, if you were going to free her brother, only do it if she gets rid of Karlov.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
But utterly gets rid of him, crushes him.
She did say he was an immortal.
I'm sure that a dragon can kill an immortal.
Have you not seen him? He's bowing his head to her right now. I'm pretty sure she could eradicate him. Immortal
No
to
question.
what extent?
I'm less afraid of fighting Cullen than the dragon.
Well, of course, but I'd rather fight one than not both.
And maybe we could replace Karlov in the prison.
Karlov is talking to her right now. Now we should be worried for any alliances he's trying to form. As we are doing.
She needs Jhaeros.
Let's get this over with then. And I'll flick back over towards and look directly at the Gary.
They're sort of Karlov and Gary are sort of chuckling together at this point. They seem to have, and she's placed a hand on his shoulder, which he's visibly trying to fight the urge to slink away from her, but he's remaining connected with his hands folded.
I gently, like, tug on Jhaeros's
I'm
clothes.
Like a child.
No, not to draw attention. Like, it was more like
My
just
helmet's
to,
off, by the way.
just to kind of like get his attention. I could. She said she would give us a bit of time. I could consult the cards if we knew what we wanted.
I guess,
To ask.
is it too broad a question to ask
No, not at all.
what we should do with the Chronolith?
I think we should narrow it down at least. What does this Gary want with the Chronolith? Why does she want her brother to be free?
Or what is the projected outcome if we free her brother?
You said you'd narrow it down. There's
pretty
many
narrow.
questions.
Well, I thought I gave you one.
I gave you one.
What does Gary gain to? What does Gary hope to gain from freeing her brother from the Chronolith?
Most likely power.
But what? What power? What does she gain exactly?
You just see me, my head going back and forth to these questions, like trying
Ping
to
ponging.
back
She
and
spoke
forth.
of magics bleeding into this plane. Maybe her brother has a way to harness them, give them to her.
Well, look, Cullen, I hope you're not as dim-witted as you look. I assume you could come up with a perfectly good question to ask your cards.
Are you gonna try and hide him, or are you just gonna do a seance in front of
Well,
Gary?
I don't believe Karlov's never seen him do it either, so they're just gonna be like, hey, he's playing with cards.
They might sense the magic.
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean,
You know what, let me consult with my spells.
Yeah, sure.
I am very low. I am very low.
What on slots?
We're
Yes.
just low on everything.
When I say low,
He's
it's
having a bad
almost
time. He's
non-existent.
having a rough day.
Maybe
I
we need a
will.
long rest first.
Yeah.
I will, though.
We should throw that into the agreement with the dragon. Is that
You get a nap.
we need to nap first.
I need sleep. You'll see sort of like my left hand, the actual like fleshy hand.
The flesh hand.
It'll glow a little bit as I'll replenish one level 3 spell slot.
Oh, it's very fancy.
Just because I wanted a level 3 spell slot, I don't even know what's in here.
Arcane recovery, love it.
No. My signet ring that I have.
Oh, even cuter.
Enchanted. Yes. Thank you. Even cuter. I wish I had arcane recovery. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it would.
Look, I don't have anything to hide you, but if things get messy, I can do my best to try to prevent them from stopping you. But I don't know. Is it obvious? I've seen you do the cards before, but
I suppose it would depend what he does.
It's divination, so it's instantaneous.
Yeah, yes.
Should be fine.
Yeah.
I've had a feeling it'll be okay. Because it's kind of like,
Worst case, you have a little glowing card and everyone's like, what's that?
yeah.
I'll just stand in front of him, like just to. I'm actually.
Is-
Hang on a minute.
Yeah, you want to stand between him and the dragon?
No, I guess I'm also pretty short, so I might not be able to cover the glowing
You're
cover.
broad?
Yeah, maybe. So if you just like kneel down a bit,
No, I'd get Tordrad to come here.
yeah, and I'll yeah.
Hold out your hands. This.
Oh, nice.
And I take the top card, and I just start whispering quietly, and I place it down
oh.
on his hand.
While he's doing that, can I just quickly touch Cullen and cast Blur? So him in general looks like a blurred shape
Yeah,
while he's
Yeah,
doing what he's doing.
sure.
Alright.
That's a fun application of it.
Alright.
Yeah.
So you're
So
looking at him, he looks like static.
he sort of, yeah, he just, even in the darkness, there's just something about him that's like a bit weird, a bit off. As you sort of reverberate, your form just shifts a little bit and wavery.
The light from the card glows, but my hand covering it on top of Tordrad hands
Little
tries to show like little escapes, but it's not.
Yeah.
And then my eyes start to gloss and kind of like go like a bit clear, like they dilate, and then I cast the divination.
Divination, as in like actual divination?
Actual divination.
Okay. Cool. One question.
One question.
No. Make it a good one.
Don't tell him that, you're stressing him out.
7 days.
That's true.
That's what it has to be. It's one thing.
which within 7
What,
days.
one every 7 days?
One thing that occurs within 7 days. He can ask
Our event.
fate one question
Okay.
about an event that will occur within the next 7 days.
Using my knowledge of thinking. We will most likely enter the color. What will happen should we open the Chronolith and release the dragon that is imprisoned inside? The outcome. Yes.
Yep.
Is this just me?
I was about to do it, and I was just like, nah.
Let us hear it!
No, but it's like my thing, alright? Like, you guys get your thing.
He has
Your little
it's
private
just a vision. He has to interpret.
I have to interpret this stuff.
Yes.
And it gives you time to think as I leave.
Oh, what do you think about it?
Oh, God. I'm always nervous with these ones because...
You ask the question, what will happen if we open the Chronolith and release the dragon inside?
Because that's essentially what...
Your head falls back, and your eyes go white as they roll back into your head. Before you, you see a shape that is unmistakably a dragon, but it is itself formed out of brass and copper cogs and wheels, just like the Chronolith is. It's roaring with its head thrown back up towards the clouds. It takes off and soars down over the grassland that you've just passed through in the frontier. And trailing from its wings, you see cities spring up in its wake and rise out of the ground, floating as cities in the sky. And then you become conscious again.
Y'all can come back.
So,
Phone's on silent, bro.
the two of you see Cullen's head throw back, and the whites of his eyes dominate all that you can see. It's only a few seconds, and then he returns to consciousness with his head snapping back forward, gasping for air.
I'll just punch him in the chest a little bit.
Yes, disadvantage because of blood.
Oh, true. It's not an attack roll, so
Um,
I'm trying to kill him.
I've got a place I could display.
Oh, disadvantage. So, how did it go?
What did you see? Here.
Or feel?
Ooh.
Feel would be the correct term. I don't feel that it... I feel, even though it's Jhaeros' curiosity to naturally want to open the Chronolith, I do feel like, as much as I don't understand the Gary's intentions, I feel that should we decide to pursue and open the Chronolith, we shouldn't be worried as much of the outcome. It's more of a positive results or something grand per se will happen. Obviously another dragon being there is grand. I saw cities floating in the sky all over the front, in the frontiers where we passed.
How is
visions,
this possible?
visions are left to
Probably an accident.
Visions are always the interpretation. It might not be an actual floating city in the sky. It could just be the natural development of time.
Jhaeros' eyes are like glowing, like he loves what he's hearing.
But there was the shape of the dragon I saw, but it was unlike anything that. And I turned looking back. It was almost as if the dragon itself was made out of the tower. It was of cogs and brass and copper.
As you say this and turn back to look at the Chronolith, Gairi is standing right behind you.
Oh shit.
You didn't hear her approach, you didn't see her coming, but she is standing at least a foot over you, looking down.
That would be my brother. I don't know what you did. I don't know what you saw. But celestial magic is not permitted in my territory. Do it again, and I will end you.
Gary,
Yes.
surely you could forgive this use of it. We just had to determine what the outcome might be.
Friend, that is why I have issued a warning. I will not be so lenient twice.
Understood?
Excellent. Now that we've got that out of the way, I have one condition.
Very well.
Oh, well, that was easier than I thought it would be.
And may we speak
As
about
I
this
said.
condition with you privately, just the four of us.
Oh no, I'm happy to say it out loud.
All right then.
You look over to Karlov and,
Please, I'm hurt.
Fuck you.
I mean, perhaps another night.
I destroy you.
Oh, I can take a fair bit.
Oh my God. Right, well, now that you've stopped flirting, please. Gary, how do I put this?
Speak plainly.
We want Karlov gone. And I'll just dart my eye over to Karlov, giving him a sharp-eyed look.
He looks shocked, just aghast. Oh, friends, me.
Yes, I'm not your friend. And don't talk to me like you know me.
Gairi seems amused by this exchange.
Interesting. What harm has he done you?
Call it intuition.
She places one of her clawed hands on your shoulder, very gently, and she leans in closely.
Speak plainly. I am no stranger to harm.
You feel an overwhelming desire to tell her why you don't trust Karlov.
Just him or all of us?
Just him. As she just bores her vision into your eyes.
I feel he'll get in my way. That he'll stop me for what I want for myself, and I want him gone. I want him dead. I don't care how.
Ambition is a good color on an elf.
She takes you aside briefly, looking over her shoulder at Karlov. She doesn't make eye contact with you at this stage.
How do you want him gone?
Do I hear that?
You do.
My eyes are like sparkling.
And more importantly, when?
You said he's immortal, correct?
In a sense,
But that's an easy feat for you to get around.
plenty of creatures that live a long time.
Excellent. My small friend here, actually, I believe he seems like he really has an idea for how he wants it done.
So I have two ideas.
Just Tordrad things.
He's ready.
My brother used to say it was always worth having a contingency plan.
So, first one. I would love to see him drawn and quartered. Immediately.
It wouldn't necessarily kill one like him.
Well, I mean, you're the expert in that. The other one doesn't involve killing him, but if we could place him in the prison that your brother is in his place, an eternal prison to which only one has the key.
Look, fantastic idea. But from what Cullen said earlier, I believe he is the clock. He's a part of it. I don't think he's simply trapped inside of it.
He's imprisoned in himself.
I believe how Cullen described it earlier, it doesn't sound as simple as he's trapped inside of the clock. If I...
Gary's eyes sort of dart back and forth. This is an immense amount of information. When did you learn this?
Wasn't it just before?
When I
Just now.
just when you forgave me for using celestial magic.
Fine. I promised I would overlook it.
Well,
He's not wrong.
with your knowledge on how to kill mortals, how would you do it?
We could send him to another plane.
Yeah, but then he's just gone, right?
I want him dead. I don't want him coming back at all. I'll leave it to your discretion, and
No tonight.
if possible, immediately. Oh, facial expression just leaves his face.
But if you can leave his stuff, maybe. Just a small request.
Fine.
Silas isn't here and he wants to be paid.
It will happen as soon as possible. Not immediately. I work in my own pace.
As you wish.
But you'll assist me then, Elf.
I would like him gone before. If possible, I assist. Call it contingency. At least I know he's not going to somehow stab me in the back once I've completed the task for you.
A compromise. We shall do it on the way. She gestures in the direction of the Chronolith.
Delightful.
Marvelous. She turns slowly and begins stalking back towards Karlov. She places a shoulder on his back between his shoulder blades, and she gestures down the ravine and the path going towards the Chronolith. She doesn't turn to face you, but raises her fingers and gestures that you follow as well.
I'll follow.
I'll follow as well.
Are we just going to leave Nephris and Silas?
Oh, we don't know where they are.
Are we going to leave a note? Are we going to send someone to look at like
Always leave a note.
Is there
I
a
mean, I don't know
portal
anything.
still?
I'm not carrying paper.
Is the portal open behind us at all?
Nope.
Well, there's nothing to show that they can get here. I don't see what you...
Certainly not the same way.
I mean, maybe you could check the cards.
He just did that. And no, he can't do it again. She just told him he killed
Yeah,
a
that's
dwarf. Do you not think?
yes?
No, isn't there another way?
Nephris,
Isn't
no,
there-
Jhaeros is right. If I do not want to test my luck against the dragon.
Yes,
You know,
use the
maybe
powers again.
we have
Yes,
to.
yes, I can locate. I do believe I could locate Silas based on.
I don't care about Silas, just Nephris.
Isn't
You could
Silas
locate
the
a
one-
note, couldn't you?
Yeah, I think I had more interactions with Silas's equipment and guides and stuff than Nephris.
True.
I would
Yeah,
have
you're
to
more
play.
likely to be able to locate Silas.
Carlo.
The one we're gonna murder?
Sure, he's got some cash.
It's like,
Flush.
Yeah, he's gotta be.
I just feel like we're going too far off the trail that they will not be able to find us. Or
It is one Cullen. Yeah, I said I think you're not as stupid as you look. There's one fucking trail and it goes in one direction. What do you mean? There's the clock tower, one trail in a lot. How could they get?
I mean, at the end is a little bit. It's not.
Surely we could request
Gary.
Gary to help us. She would be interested to find who interrupted her magic.
Send some orcs.
She is
Yeah.
currently walking out the trail, so you'd have to catch up with her.
I'm just gonna continue. I'm gonna start
Keep walking as you discuss
And
this.
then like walk a little bit faster.
I sigh and just kind of like I put out a little thing scribble.
Little scribble of parchment.
And they had that, and then I like put it on Karlov's box with like an arrow and says,
It's just a dash
and then
like this way.
on it says
This way, guys. With us.
Chronolith
Aye.
question mark and an arrow to tower in the direction it's
That's
going.
that's very clear.
And then I've walked
Very
off.
Did you put your name on it at all?
Nah,
I'm assuming
Initials Dino Man.
Dino Man.
Yeah,
I feel like they would know that I would be the one to write a note.
Yeah, no one else is going to write a note.
You hope so.
Evidently.
Maybe Karlov did. Who knows?
Alright. Well, Gary leads you downhill, following the path, the natural path of the ravine, as hundreds of hungry eyes watch you parade down towards the tower, the orcs still chanting the same phrase, for the shadows. And as you approach, you can see, as you approach and you go further down this pathway, you can see that the tower is actually housed on an island in the center of a dark black lake, which is likely the relic of the river that formed this canyon, wherever it terminated. And the only way out to that island is a small land bridge, the only means across.
I see the lake,
You can see the lake around it. It's dark, but you can see it.
but I see a body of water.
A body of water.
In the around here. Do I have any sort of...
There is a flash in your mind of Elena's face as she wades through the water.
I do kind of do a double take, and then I just...
I kind of do a little bit as well, but it's only because, like...
For personal reasons.
Personal reasons, I guess.
Need to take a leap.
But this land bridge is the only means of access. And you continue walking. It takes you maybe 15-20 minutes. It's a long walk, but you can see pretty far down, and that only speaks volumes to you now of how truly massive the Chronolith actually is, and how high it's scraping above. The fact that you saw it so massive in the distance, and it's just getting bigger.
Can I try to potentially listen in, if possible, to the conversation? Does it seem like they're talking as they walk?
They are, yeah. They're having a conversation.
Okay. Can I try and listen in, please?
Absolutely.
And I'd like to have tried to have done that as soon as possible.
Also, when we get to the water's edge, or like the start of the... Are we walking on the land bridge already? Or are we...
No. You're still on the pathway. Like, the land bridge is in the distance.
I just want to know when we get to the water's edge.
Yeah, it'll probably take you about 10 more minutes. Yeah.
28.
28
What?
on your perception check to hear.
19 plus 9.
Damn, good.
Yeah.
So
You
you
can hear Silas and Nephris at this
you lean your head in their direction a little bit, and the helmet of your armor sort of forms up just around one ear and makes a little cone, just as like a little ear trumpet. And you just you never thought to do this before, but all of a sudden you're just like, yeah, that's gonna work. And as you listen very keenly to their conversation, and Gary is dominating most of their discussion. Karlov is, for the most part, just sort of muttering assertions to what she's saying. But she's detailing, first of all, what she understands as the history of Arglistad, and she keeps mentioning a place called Korkash, which is not something that you're familiar with, but she seems to speak of it fairly fondly. And from what you can, bits of the conversation seem to drop as they walk, and they keep turning their heads, so the conversation goes in and out. But what you do hear, she speaks in Korkash in the same breath that Karlov speaks of Arglistad, and they continue speaking. And Karlov, a point of the conversation piques your interest in particular when Karlov turns to it and says, "This power, I do not wish it for my people. I wish it to advance myself and my family, who think bigger than my cousin. The Queen, she is reductive in how she thinks. I wish for a brighter future. One where people who do the most good get the most in return." And Gary just sort of nods quietly. If you're willing, with your patronage, I could use the power of the Chronolith, and we could erect cities in your name all across the frontier. We would rise up from the dirt of these
lowly mortals, and we would create a society where those who create, who think bigger, are the ones who make the decisions.
That's the most that you can hear as Gary turns, at that point Gary turns and gives you a very sly grin. You continue walking for about 10 more minutes.
Well,
And you get close to the lake's edge. And on the near side of the land bridge lies, that you can now see, a dome of perfectly carved obsidian, etched with ancient runes. They seem to be draconic primarily, but there's some in a strange language that most of you don't recognize, but Cullen has seen in books. The dome broods ominously at the edge of the sunlight cast down from the breach in the brambled ceiling. The only flaw in the dome is an archway cut into its side, and it's of grand size, even for a dragon to pass through. It's absolutely gargantuan. Gary marches towards it with single-minded determination, and the runes covering its surface flare to life with coruscating purple energy as she nears it.
Just quickly, sorry, how close are we to the Chronolith at this point?
It would be... So you're basically right at the edge of the land bridge, and that bridge is maybe a kilometer long.
oh shit.
It's still a bit of a walk.
As far.
Okay, I'll continue.
Yeah. So you approach this dome, and it seems to almost cling to the darkness on the edge of this shaft of sunlight that casts down onto the tower. And as you get very near it, and you can see the barrier, this border between light and dark, between ostensibly Gary's domain and her brother's, she turns to Karlov, and with the most subtle somatic component you've ever seen, just twitches her finger, and he goes stiff. And then and you watch as Gary just drifts her hand, and he carves a path through the dust in front of her, unable to speak, just with his mouth agape, staring at her in horror, as she slowly moves him towards the sunlight. Just as his arm touches it, it bursts into flame, and you can see that he's trying to scream, but he can't. And his shadow writhes underneath him, and she just keeps slowly drifting her arm across. And then finally you hear Karlov screaming as she releases the spell, and he falls onto his knees. His flesh peels away in black clots, his hair and clothing sloughing off, until you just see a skeleton glaring at you, and his eyes burst in their sockets and drip down onto the ground.
Fuck. Yes.
The skeleton reaches out its hand, pleading, and then falls and crumbles into dust. This is the first time you've felt wind in the area, and it seems almost ethereal as it drifts away Karlov's ashes.
A spiritual experience.
She lowers her hand slowly and turns back to you.
I always keep my promises.
And she strides back towards the dome.
I'm just gonna go up to Karlov's body and
Yep.
see what it's got.
So everything physical about him vanished. The jeweled short sword is still on the ground, as is a necklace made out of gold, which has his house's symbol on it. Well, has the Arglesian royal symbol on it.
Okay. He didn't have any cash or anything, or
No, he doesn't carry gold.
that's fine.
The sword is very nice.
Okay. Awesome.
As you inspect it closer as well, you can see that it seems the handle actually has like barbs sticking out along its length,
Oh, that's cool.
which you didn't notice before. They're quite small, but they would definitely hurt whoever like wielded the blade.
Does it? Oh yeah. Sorry. I'll just grab because his bones dust as well. Or is
Yeah,
it-
like everything about him just crumbled.
I'll
into
scoop a
nothing.
bit of his ash into a pouch.
Little bone ash.
A little bone ash.
Did you grab the sword?
Oh well, by the scabbard.
Yeah, probably.
If I mean,
It's a
I'm
jeweled
not-
scabbard. You probably wouldn't pick up a sword like in a
Barbs
scabbard
in it.
on like by its handle. You would have
if
seen
there
the
was a
barbs.
scabbard with it, I would have.
You would have seen the barbs anyway.
And I'll just turn to Gary and say, Gary, thank you for keeping your word. Might I have a few moments by the water's edge?
Do what you like. She flicks her wrist, and you see this barely perceptible translucent veil in the archway that's carved into the dome parts that you couldn't see before, and she steps through into the darkness, which is now like darker and darker.
Oh shit.
I'm gonna follow her directly
Yeah.
and not worry about anything that they do. I'm just gonna go straight
Yep.
ahead.
Absolutely.
Alright.
After smirking and smiling as I pass, hit the dust.
So I'm going to go up to the water's edge,
Mhm.
and I'm going to go and stand in it, like waist deep.
Yep.
And I'm going to take out a few items that I've been carrying. So I'm going to take out. This is out of a backpack. So don't worry about the size of things.
It's a little handy backpack.
Yeah. Some Ursinian teeth.
Mhm.
The arm of an elf.
Mhm. No elf in particular.
No. An obsidian knife with some runes on it.
Mhm.
And the jeweled short sword, which I've just been holding.
Mhm.
And I'm going to put my hands with the items just underneath the water's surface. And I'm going to say, Baratek, I offer you the teeth of a great bear ape creature, the arm of an inventor, an obsidian knife that I took from an enemy, and the jeweled short sword of a vampire.
And they just drift out into the water. Even when you walked into the water, it seemed eerily calm. The surface was almost reluctant to be disturbed. But as you place your offerings into the water and they begin to drift downwards, you can see ripples fall along the surface, and they just travel out, and there's a very obvious rhythm to them. And you hear thunder in the distance. And then you realize, as you just dwell on your thoughts, focused on Baratek, that the ripples and the quaking in the earth beneath you is echoing as a heartbeat.
Oh shit.
And you look down into the water as it begins to settle at your war-torn, ragged face, and for the briefest moment you think it looks slightly older than your own, impossibly old, with the beard much longer, but eyes just the same colour as aged stone looking back into yours, and the barest hint of a smile in those eyes. And then the reflection vanishes and it's your own again.
I'll just mutter to myself. He is with me. Thank you for accepting my offering. And I'll slowly step back out of the water.
I've just been sitting on the ground cross-legged. I just was watching this happen.
Yeah.
It was,
Yes,
And I
you
kinda get
drag
up.
yourself out of the water, dripping from the waist as Cullen is sitting there in front of you.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if this was something personal. I was just very, I was very curious, I guess, intrigued by.
No, it's not. Not potion at all. It's an offering to my god.
Oh, I sensed that. It was quite something to behold. I'm sure he was pleased.
He was.
Should we should we follow after Jhaeros? He's kind of
I think
gone
best.
into the dome now.
Let's catch up. Yes, by the way.
What do I see when I enter, by the way?
So, inside the dome, it
Excellent.
is pitch black,
Sweet.
which is going to be problematic for Cullen, who cannot see in the dark.
What? Aren't you a half elf?
Oh, you're half. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oh.
Of course.
Oh, okay, I was
On
gonna
the
say. I was
seventh
like,
day they created.
Yeah, I forget. So you can all see, which is nice.
Which is
Very
you like.
convenient.
Damn
No one's
dark.
playing.
No, it makes it more convenient.
I mean,
Oh, what? Wait a minute.
Inside,
Yes.
it is pitch black. However, you can all see perfectly well. And you see piled up against one side of the dome is a massive collection of gemstones. They are towering up, basically nearly touching the ceiling of a housing which was designed for a gargantuan dragon. The pile of stones is dominated heavily by obsidian, amethyst, and emeralds, and they vary greatly in size. Most of them are rough cut. They don't seem to be the sort that you'd find hawked by jewelers or anything like that. It's just pulled from the earth there. They seem almost practical in the way that they've just been piled up in such massive quantities. To another side of the dome are dozens of copper and brass contraptions, similar to the ones that you saw in Karlov's camp, but also the sorts of things that an amateur artificer might be familiar with making. So things that you might have made in your youth, or things that you might have new acolytes trained to create. Nothing major, but they do fun and interesting things. Rather contrary to the chaotic pile of stones that's piled up, you notice that they're arranged in very neat rank and file, and almost categorized into different shapes and size, and you would imagine function, even though you can't necessarily determine or discern what those functions would be. Notably as well, for yourself, you seem to struggle to determine how old the contraptions are. Normally you're much more adept at telling the age of a contraption, but they seem to be nebulous in terms of the description when it comes to the age that they were made in. There are numerous skeletons of creatures, both mundane and monstrous, just sort of littering the floor everywhere as well, which is quite at odds with these rather refined adornments in this building, this dome that she has made her house. And she crunches over them as she makes her way to the pile of gemstones. And you notice as well that nestled rather precariously in the pile of gems is a throne made of pure silver. And Gary slumps into it and drapes her legs over one of the armrests. She leans over and picks a stone out from the pile, seemingly at random, and bites into it. And she crunches it between her jaws and just chews at it almost absent-mindedly as she regards you.
I'm just super confused. What am I watching right now?
Gary, who made these contraptions?
I couldn't tell you. The orcs bring them for me.
Are you not more concerned?
I assume they're dead.
She's eating stones.
Yeah, I don't care about that. What? And can I just walk up to one of them and pick it, inspect it?
Was it a precious stone she's eating, or was it just a stone?
Yeah, the pile of gemstones seems to be like made of obsidian and amethysts.
So she's
like
eating-
full on like
eating her treasure?
Yeah.
I'm gonna inspect one of the items that have been crafted
Yeah.
that I am not able to figure out the age of it.
Yeah, you can't really tell like how long ago it was made, but normally you're quite good at sort of guessing a creation date on something.
And doing an investigation check on it wouldn't, or an
You can do again. Yeah, now that you've got a closer look, you can do. We'll do investigation. Would be good. Yeah.
I'm looking to see if it's good. Yes.
Could I also peer over his shoulder at it?
You have advantage.
Thank you.
Let's distract him more than anything.
Yeah.
It's
not really help.
It's not really help.
25.
25.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
10.
You gaze for a very long time at this contraption, and you sort of turn it over in your hand, and as you do, you see a little stamp in it, sort of that you would expect for a silversmith might put into the base of like a goblet that they've made or something, and it's just the initials CM. And there is a little cog, just a single cog, stamped into it with the C and M on either side of it. And you like sort of turn it over, and you realize as you turn it over into your other hand, as it touches your prosthetic, it like bursts open and flips around. And you can see it gets these long, spindly appendages sort of sticking out of it. It was mostly circular to begin with, but it just becomes this massive spines. And it slowly settles down from this spiny ball shape into what looks like a spider with about 15 legs. And it crawls up your arm and then wraps around your band brace and settles there.
What did you do?
I don't know, but it's fascinating, isn't it? Look at it. Is it better than my creation of my prosthetic arm and or king?
You sort of stretch it out and roll your shoulder a little bit, feeling it. It doesn't seem better, but it's done something to your arm.
Does the creation itself seem... What I meant, sorry, was does the
Yeah.
creation itself seem like it's made of... Because
Oh,
before
is it like
was
better
a ball.
quality
Is it
than-
better quality? Is it better... is it constructed better? Like, is it just better?
Yes, so somehow you can, as you eye it, you realize that the materials that made it, there's sort of little, almost circuitry running through it now of almost imperceptible but magical ley lines that look like circuitry just sort of running along its length now that weren't there before. And you can tell that the metallic components seem harder now.
Oh my god. I don't know, but how many more are there?
It's about 15.
Gary, do you mind if I take a few of these?
Be my guest.
Oh
They
my-
haven't been helpful so far.
God. I'm gonna pocket as many as possible into my, like, with my regular hand. I'm gonna take as many as possible. Maybe about 6.
Yep.
6 of them, and put them into my
Bag.
bag.
Just your,
Bag
your,
of
your
holding.
happy bag.
My bag of holding. That's what I was looking for.
Yep.
Cool.
So what, you just have a spider pile now?
I mean, I don't know, and
Can he do anything?
I have no idea what it is. It's just attached to my arm, and I can move my arm.
Yeah,
perfectly
it
fine.
doesn't. It doesn't interfere with you at all.
So it's below the elbow or above the elbow?
Below it,
Below
like,
it.
like a band brace.
Does it look like integrated into his arm?
Yep. It fit almost seamlessly with the prosthetic.
Fantastic.
We like to take magic.
It looks like it was made for that.
Yeah.
It really does.
It is very clearly magical.
Like, would it tell us what it did, or do you need to identify it? Like, how would we go about? Would we detect, or would we?
If you did detect magic, you would find out like the sort of schools of magic that it encompasses.
So you wouldn't have to know.
You wouldn't know necessarily exactly what it does.
So that you need attunement then, or something like that.
Yeah. So you need to spend your long rest with it to figure out what it does.
Hey, if we get a long rest, that'd be pretty good.
Gary is like has been chewing on this like hunk of amethyst the whole time, and she only seems to have just noticed because she was sort of just absent-mindedly regarding you. She looks a bit tired after what she did with Karlov, and she kind of eyes you and then notices your arm, and she swoops down, just like hovering just above the ground as her wings carry her.
Fucking terrible.
And
Did
she-
she notice me pocket the 6 of them, or?
Well, you asked.
She
I asked her, but
Yeah.
she didn't care. Cool.
But she notices the band brace now as you sort of start piling things into your bag, and she looks at it very closely.
What did you do?
I don't know. I touched it, and It attached to my arm.
She like grabs you by the wrist and rather roughly just kind of like yanks you towards herself, and she lifts you up to bring it to her eye level and like is holding you about maybe like 2 inches off the ground at this point. And then she brings her face, like her snout is like right next to your cheek.
Yes,
Fascinating.
you are very close.
You feel the spittle on your cheek. She releases you as you drop down.
Thank you for that. I don't know what it is, but it reacted to my arm. Oh, I
Can
really...
I pick one up that's still on the ground, just like
Yeah.
throw it at his arm?
Yeah.
Which arm? Yeah, I mean...
Like at the prosthetic.
Obviously the prosthetic arm.
do I have to make a check for this?
Yeah, if you don't
I mean,
want it to
it's
happen.
technically a throwing weapon. So
I mean, I'm not trying to hurt him, but like I can roll.
you don't have to throw to hit him.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Or I can just walk up.
Unless you just like dink.
Yeah, I'll just walk
You're
up.
just
to
gonna
him.
let him tap you on with stuff?
I'm not doing it like stealthily or like I'm not trying to hide. I'm just curious. I'm just gonna like.
I'm not gonna let it happen again, though.
Cool.
Okay, I won't.
I'll just move my arm away from you.
Yep.
Because you want to see what happens. What is your curiosity?
Absolutely. I'd like to do research on it. That's why I've taken more. I'm not just gonna pile as many as possible on. What if it makes the arm unusable? After too many. There are so many facets I have to take into account. What? It's barbaric just putting more onto it.
You already cut your own arm off. Like.
Exactly.
Why does it-
And look what I got out of it. It's beautiful. It could use some tinkering still, but I don't want to do too much to it. I need to research this one first.
And I'll just pocket. I'll pocket it.
Gary, you notice that Gary is looking obviously excited at this point. Like she's breathing faster and her eyes are just lit up at this revelation.
You know what? I'm gonna take all 15. I'm gonna pocket more.
She does not seem to mind at all.
Okay.
She just regards you like
So there's 14 now that he's taken one.
yeah.
I can just tell you're gonna go for more. I'm gonna get as many as possible.
I'm just taking one.
Okay, I'll pocket the rest. I have 14 in total.
Yes.
And they all look...
There's variation to them.
There's
they're
variation.
not identical.
Excellent.
And they do look like they've been made by different people. Like there's a couple of them that have like similarities to each other, but there's distinct style. Kind of like anyone who might be a paint, like in any kind of artwork, there's a distinct style to each of them.
Alright, so just to confirm, I've got one on my arm. There's 15 in total. He
So
took
you've got
one.
13. Yeah.
I've got
So you've
13.
got 13 in your pack.
I didn't try to hide me putting in my pack, by the way, so you know that it's there. Like you know, I've got it.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right, well,
We should move quickly.
of course, yes, I'd love to see it now. It's so exciting.
Maybe we take a little wee rest before we do it.
Mortals are so useless.
She takes another bite out of the chunk of Amethyst.
Well, if you didn't send your orcs to attack us,
Yes, he's correct. I am quite exhausted.
I didn't send them after you. I just sent them out.
no.
Would you mind if we took a bit of a rest? I am quite drained, and to be able to do this key opening thing, I need a bit of a break.
Fine. Rest. Make yourselves comfortable.
She returns to the throne and like
Where?
dredges on. She does not seem to care.
I'm gonna scoop a pile of gemstones and try to like make a little bed out of it.
Yeah.
Will it be one with the stone?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, out of everyone, that seems most appropriate
Yeah,
for you.
I know.
I mean, I'm sure you have your pack still. I'm sure one of you has a bedroll.
Oh, I'd have my bedroll.
You would do.
I'll use my bedroll as a pillow on top of the gemstones.
What type of rest is this?
She's willing to let you have a long rest. You're currently in Gary's obsidian dome, and you are preparing yourself for your long rest. Gary has promptly fallen what seems to be soundly asleep in her throne, and she is just snoring quietly while you all make yourselves comfortable. She seems to have very little regard for any of you.
I'm going to, as I've set up my bed of stones, just sit on it and pull out the necklace that I took
from Karloff.
I just inspect it.
Yeah. So it's really, and as a stonemason and someone who's spent a lot of time in mines, you realize that it's extremely high quality gold. Like it is basically, it's 24 karat. Like it's free of impurities of any kind, and it is pure. It has a fairly sturdy chain attached to it, which you would find is applicable to someone who spends a lot of time in the battlefield, which would be unusual for a member of royalty. So it seems to be something fairly unique to Karlov himself. You also, so other than the sigil of the Arglesian royal family on it, as you turn it around, you notice that it has a little notch on the side, and as you press into it, it flips open, and you realize it's not just a necklace, but a locket. Inside, it is, the majority of the inside of it is made from a perfectly transparent stone, polished to a smooth finish, and it fills most of the gap, like most of the space inside the locket. But as it opens on the reverse side of it, there is a single image, which is a very tiny but exquisitely made portrait of a young boy. And when you close the locket and turn it over, engraved on the back, it says, "To father from Friedrich."
Oh, fuck.
Oh, what? He has a kid that makes him less evil.
Yeah, no, I guess that's true. It is the... I don't know, my question is, you can't answer.
I mean, I might.
No, like, I was gonna say, like, is the kid a vampire? Like,
I mean, you wouldn't know.
That's why I didn't
Yeah.
ask him. Oh, so, like, that writing only appeared after I opened it, or like...
It was just on the back, you hadn't noticed it before,
Oh, okay.
but it's engraved.
And I'll just, like, if I don't notice anything else...
That's it.
I'm
Just
gonna...
the really, really beautiful, like, transparent stone inside the portrait and the inscription.
I'm just gonna... Just like, put it away real quick. Just like, I'm not gonna think about it.
Nope.
Not
Moving
gonna
on.
think about it. It's gonna set to cleaning my hammers.
Yeah, so you are free to, apparently free to use any amenities that Gary has available in the dome, but it's entirely up to you what you want to do when you take your long rest.
What amenities does she have?
Not much.
Yeah, I was gonna say. She got some rocks.
Yeah, there's the gemstones and the contraptions. As you wander around, you notice there's like a few chests sort of tucked away in the corner. They don't really have anything of value in them. It's mostly like clothing and animal pelts and that sort of thing. So it's just discarded things from travelers that the orcs potentially have encountered, or from creatures that she's killed in the time that she stayed here. But nothing of great value, other than a massive pile of gemstones.
I was wondering if on my arm, on the prosthetic one, that during a little bit of time, quickly I could have fashioned some type of, like a shoulder blade, more of just like a plate that would just
pauldron?
that would fit on top of the arm, make it look different to the rest of the other arm, for example. But I wanted to be able to have a magical property, and I want to be able to infuse it using an ability I got when I hit level 12, which was infusing a property, like a piece of armor, for example, with a magical property of an ability.
Yeah.
So over the long rest.
Yeah,
so
as part of your
infusion.
infusion.
And can I have it as that part?
Yeah.
Clicking and working.
As your
into my
artificer
armor.
nonsense, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do I have to tell you what I'm putting into it, right?
Yes, please.
It's a very.
This is not listen.
Well, this is a very. Yeah, well, you're not going to know anyway, so that's okay.
Fingies and ears, everyone.
I'm going to cast Blink into it.
Okay.
So I believe, for example of this, you guys can undo it.
Yeah.
You're good.
We're all good.
Sorry,
You're
I
good.
can't hear you.
And I believe, sorry, 10 times of use.
Yep.
Man, that's OP. That is so broken at the fist of things. So I lose one level 3 spell for that.
Yes. You lose well.
That's so crazy. Yep.
Yep, that's pretty damn good.
And that's it. And so I'm just gonna work that into my armor as like a shoulder blade thing.
Yep.
Before taking my rest.
Sounds good.
Cool.
You can also spend the time, like, preparing for your rest, and as part of your rest as well, attuning to the vambrace.
Yes.
If you would like to.
I would love to do that.
So as you're spending time sort of getting to grips with the prosthetic and what's attached to it, you gain a greater understanding of the quality of the magic that's in the contraption that attached itself to you. It does appear that whoever made it considered its aesthetic alongside its function, because you can feel that it gives you some kind of resistance to poisons.
Resistance to poison.
Yes.
And I can't remove.
Quite literally.
And I can't remove this thing.
I mean, hypothetically, you could. You haven't tried. You don't see any reason why you couldn't. It is currently, like, very firmly grafted to it. But I mean, it wasn't attached to it to begin with.
So we need 8 hours in total
Yes.
to complete a long rest, for example.
Yes.
How long would it take me to identify what this particular piece of equipment does?
An hour
An hour.
Yeah.
So I only need 4 hours to
to do your
do
meditation.
my meditation.
Yeah.
Could I spend another 2 hours, so 3 hours in total, to identify another 2 pieces of artifacts that I've done to see what they do as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
So then I can get an idea of 3 separate things before taking a rest?
Yep.
Could I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of them you spend your fair amount of time with. You try to look for something subtle in it, the same way that the spidery thing does. As you touch it, it's sort of it's basically just a square, like a cube. And as you touch it, it inverts in on itself, and it becomes a sort of a hedron shape. And it just hovers a little bit above the ground, or whatever surface that you put it over. So as you try to scoop it up into your hand, it just sort of like hovers above the surface of it. And you can see inscribed all over it are infernal runes that just say the word fire.
Cool.
And you realize this is not a defensive contraption. This is used in combat.
Okay, and the third one?
And the third one is basically just looks like a stick, like just a copper tube. And as you touch it, it unravels at one end and becomes stubby and short, and then the tube flares and separates, and it becomes 6 distinct cylinders. And it forms into the same shape as the weapon that Heiress uses. It looks like a firearm.
Looks like a firearm.
Yeah. And as you sort of hold it, as it settles perfectly into the palm of your prosthetic, like it just looks like it was made for you, you sort of feel an almost innate, just this instinct to sort of flip the cartridge out.
Yep.
And it's already fully loaded with 6 rounds in its revolving barrel. And on the base of every single one of those bullets, it has a little cog fashioned into it, and the same initials CM stamped into them. And while the Hedron looked very different from the other 2 in style, this firearm looks almost identical in terms of its shape and function as the spider.
I would like to attune to the firearm one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. So I'll take the spider one off, and I'll attune to that. Is there a way I could work it into? How large is it? It's a pistol.
Yeah, it's a revolver. Yeah.
A revolver. No, that's okay. Yeah, I was gonna say if I could work it into my arm, but that's fine.
No.
No,
really
yeah,
hard.
that's fine. I'll attune to that
You
instead.
could spend like a day making a compartment in your arm for it
Yeah.
if you really wanted to.
This is work.
How long
Just
ago?
secret compartment.
He would do it if he had more time. I'm gonna. Can I unattune to something since I need a certain amount of
You
slots
need
for
more.
it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna unattune to. Can I just pick, like, just take something out?
Yes.
So take the signet ring out.
Yep. No worries.
Cool.
No stress. Cullen, I assume you're switching up spells and shit. Are you going to do anything else in your long rest?
Oh yes, yes, yes.
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 I always forget this because.
Don't dare tell us to leave again.
No.
I'm comfortable. I'm not good.
Oh, 1 second.
I'm listening.
I am going to cast a spell by reading a spell story.
A plus.
Oh,
Good stuff.
I've been meaning to do that
Every fucking
Every
time.
time.
Every goddamn time.
What, you've been forgetting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice, useful ringing spells.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to cast. Do I need to tell you what I'm casting there, or do I just say I've cast?
Nah, you can. Not for that one.
Well, it's basically I've cast a level 5 spell. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Wicked. Is there anything else you want to discuss before you go sleeps? Your sleepy bias. Meditation.
Well, if Jhaeros is doing stuff like in my view, because I'm assuming we're not really that far away from each other.
I mean, it's a very big dome, but
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'll say I'm
no
not
one's,
too far away
Yeah,
from
no
you.
one's hiding.
Yeah, I'll like probably just approach him and just see what he's doing. Because obviously he's like not asleep, so he must be tinkering.
Oh, and I'm nerding out.
Yeah.
Yeah, heavily nerding out. Yes.
Hierarchy stake. Because I'm changing my spells.
Yeah.
Any of the spells that I'm learning now can't be the one that I want to put in my ring, or
Yeah, you
I have to do something I've currently.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to switch. I mean,
I'm gonna work out in 8 hours. Does that happen, or does that?
it all takes place in the same rest.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't see why you can do it in whatever order you want.
Thank you.
It's all the same rest.
Yeah, I'm like, and you see, this one was a spider, whereas this one, it's a revolver. And this one, it floated. It was more of an offensive spell than a defensive spell. But wait till you see this one. And I'm just absolutely just rattling your ear.
I'm just like getting a bit sleepy. Like I was interested before, but like now I'm just like, oh, okay.
Could I take, with the, when the cartridge, with the ammo that's used for it,
Mm-hmm.
have I seen anything like it before? The actual ammo itself.
No,
How many does it hold?
6.
Can I, over the last hour, because it's 8 hours in total, I've used it's 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
so that last hour before I meditate. Or if I meditate and then wake up an hour early. As in wake
No,
up
go
an hour
wake up
before
early
everyone
and
else.
nerd out.
With that extra hour I have to spend, could I look into what the ammo is and how I could potentially reproduce it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's nothing like particularly magical about it, but you do identify the basic properties of the ammunition and how to reconstruct it.
Cool.
And it does seem to have, like, it seems less advanced than what Heiress has been using, but it is distinctly different in its function.
Cool. Is this more of a actual just generic gunpowder?
This is gunpowder. Like, there is, as you open it, you realize there's like gunpowder in the compartments and everything. It would create a solid projectile. Whereas,
So it's not as magical, but it is thoroughly like.
but it
advanced.
is clearly a far more advanced mechanical component
Yeah.
than what Heiress uses, which is basically a facsimile of that.
Yeah.
Just using magic.
Sick.
There's so we're in like her orb thing.
Yes, a dome.
Dome. We're away from any water sources and that kind of thing as well.
It's just outside, but yeah.
It's just outside.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's right at so the dome is right on the edge of the where the
Yeah.
light is cast, and that's like right at the edge of the land bridge. So why?
So I think I might change my mind about the bed of stones because it's a little bit
It's a bit stony.
It's a bit stony, yeah. And I'll just I'll leave my pack inside, but I'll go outside and I'll go into the water. I have my hammers with me, and I will go underneath the water, and I will find because obviously the water's quite still, right?
Yes. Very.
Yeah, and I'll find a good flat spot, and I'll just take my sleep there.
Underwater. You can that's right. Yeah. You can weigh yourself down so you
Yeah,
can
with
nap
hammers,
underwater.
yeah.
Neat. Yeah, it's
Blind
like
with
pitch
Naarheid.
black underneath the water
That's
as well.
perfect.
So
I
yeah,
can only
it'll
sleep
be very
pitch black.
sleepy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. Anything else? We're going to sleep.
I'm
Yep.
literally just been with my meditation and adjusting.
Yep.
You just see Cullen and Cullen just like whispering and chanting and like slowly like bringing out magical components and like sorting them before.
You're doing card nerd stuff, I'm doing gun nerd
Yep.
stuff. And he's sleeping underwater, freak.
Resting my guns.
Yeah. So you all rest in your respective ways, with the elf and half elf falling into a meditative trance, and Tordrad very calmly just breathing in his watery sleep. And while he's underwater, he dreams.
Yes.
Please leave.
Yes, it's my turn.
Final.
It's my turn. Fuck off. This is my time.
You settle down for the evening. The still water like a cool embrace around you as you're protected by your Storm Herald heritage. You sleep very soundly for a number of hours, and you can again feel that familiar rumbling as the earth quakes and the water ripples outwards in that familiar, slow, heavy heartbeat of the King of the Giants, Baratek. And as you're sleeping, you feel as though you're no longer lying down, but standing upright on the surface of the water. You're not in exactly the same place, because the briars have vanished, and the rock around you looks smooth, clean hewn, similar to the hallways that you remember from your past when you lived in the halls underneath Rawn. And you take a step forward in what seems to be an endless hallway with vaulted ceilings, mist sort of collecting on the surface of the water that you're stepping on, and ripples echo outwards as you do. You keep walking towards this light, this ethereal blue-white light at the end of this hallway. And as you keep approaching it, you realize that there's a shadow walking from the opposite direction towards you. And it seems similar to you in form, but as you continue walking, it continues to grow in size. And it gets larger and larger until you're right before it, and it towers above you, bigger than any person you've encountered, even the dragon that you've just seen. And Baratek leans down on one knee towards you and extends his hand out, palm upwards, just before you. And he cranes his enormous face down until it's level with yours, his face which could fully encompass your entire body. And he says,
Hello, little one.
Baratek, my lord.
You have done well for so many years.
Thank you. All in your name.
Karla thanks you for it. My homeland has few who speak for her. And I am proud to have a stone kin working in my name. There are pressing matters ahead, however.
Yes. What may I do to aid you?
he lumbers up slowly, and bits of debris sort of crumble away from him, and as you look up you realize his form seems to be physically made from stone. Whether or not this is his true form or what he's taken for the vision, you're not sure. But he turns away from you and he starts taking one step, and as that 1 footfall lands onto the surface of the water, it ripples out with this echoing, deafening noise. And the thunderous footfall causes all of the walls around you to crack and crumble away, and you're left back where you fell asleep underneath that lake. And he points out over the surface of the water. towards the Chronolith.
He is waiting.
The dragon.
You must protect him.
I will do it.
The Heiress is not what she seems.
She's not a dragon.
She is. But she is so much worse. The shadows answer to her call, and nothing good in our world has come from shadows.
But how can I defeat one such as her? I don't possess the power.
You will have aid.
And he extends his hand with his head lowered as he gazes out over the water. And you see a human silhouette with a long, flowing, it seems to be a single piece of fabric, almost silk-like, that hovers just over her skin, wading out in the water. And her form turns towards you, and she just nods very slowly, and she sinks beneath the water.
Okay.
The mortals. I will send mortals to help you. The strongest I know. You must find the dragon and protect him with your lives. If Gary succeeds, there is little we can do.
Okay. I'll give my life for him. For you.
I wish you good fortune, little stone.
Thank you, my lord. And I'll go to one knee, if I can, and just and bow head in respect.
He bows his own head in reverence to your own, and from the crown of his head, rocks begin to tumble and peel away, and they fall into the water, which doesn't splash and doesn't ripple. They just vanish. And you wake up.
Good timing.
Nice. So, was I
You awaken
unawakened?
underwater.
Yeah, that's fine. It's alright.
And the others, well, Jhaeros woke up an hour earlier, and the others soon rise from their slumber, and Jhaeros has apparently just continued doing the same nerdy stuff that he was doing the previous night.
Is Gary still? Is she awake now? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
She is not currently in the dome.
Okay.
So you see her first. And she stands just on the border of light and shadow, gazing out across the land bridge, her hands folded behind her back, the purple lace flowing in the wind.
I'll climb out of the water.
She doesn't seem to make any, she doesn't take note of you, she just keeps looking out towards the Chronolith.
I'm just going to go straight into the orb and make a beeline for Jhaeros, and if I can get Cullen's attention, I'll wave him over as well.
Yep.
Just to...
Yeah, Gary doesn't make any move to prevent you.
How far away are we from her?
The entrance to the dome is maybe 30-40 feet away from where she was standing.
Okay. Well, I'll try to guide them further away from that.
As deep into the dome as we can.
Yes.
He's
I
saying
have something important to tell you.
Do I notice that he's like wet or anything like that? Yeah.
Why are you dripping?
I was in the water.
Bathing?
No, I was sleeping.
Sorry, what do you mean you're sleeping in the water?
Alright, you cut your own arm off and you're questioning me.
I don't sleep in water, and I fixed the...
So, there are plenty of creatures that do.
I think he does have a point.
Yes, but...
Okay, not the important.
Right, sorry. I'm holding a gun. It's in my hand. Yep.
Okay.
No one knows what it is,
Oh.
except you.
I had a vision last night. In my dreams.
Are you talking loudly or quietly?
Well, quietly, yeah. Thank you for that. Just make sure.
It's a show. This is are you talking quietly?
Yes, I am. I had a vision last night from my god, Vadatek. Cullen, you may know of him.
Well, like, I know of many gods, and I saw your offering.
You saw my offering.
So it makes sense that
In my underwater slumber, he came to me, and he warned me of Gary's intentions. The dragon in Chronolith, we must free, we must protect. But Gary, I don't know what her intentions are, but they're not good. We have to protect the dragon from her influence, from her control. I don't know, but from her.
well, it makes sense. I didn't ask about her intentions. I only asked what would happen if we freed the dragon in the Chronolith, and that seemed like it was, like you say, a good thing.
Yes, but maybe, since you can't see all of the future, you don't know how she's going to influence it.
Right, so what you're saying is it's still a good, or there's something good that comes out of freeing her brother out of the criminal.
Don't think
Yes,
it's her
we
brother.
must free him.
What do you mean you don't think it's her brother?
Well,
Look,
that's a good point.
that I don't know how much you know of dragon kind.
Yes, they consider each other family, somewhat of siblings.
Not. They're very territorial, based on like the chromatics within themselves and of metallics. And from what I saw of brass and copper, it would not be one that is aligned for Gary to be calling it her brother.
I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Maybe it was a ploy to get us to help her.
Potentially,
An
from what,
appeal to our natures.
so from what I'm gathering, Cullen's come back with information that, not necessarily from her, but if we free whoever or whatever is inside, it has good consequences on his side. But from what you're saying, it sounds like that is still true, but we need to go against what she wants.
There might be something I could do.
If you cast anything,
She made it clear I was not to cast any celestial guidance, so I was not planning on using my cards or asking for divination.
then what do you propose?
It's still a spell, but it's not celestial or religious in nature.
Mhm.
I might, if she's like I look around, I don't see her. She's outside.
She's
I
not
do that.
inside.
Like, I just need a little bit of time.
Right. How much time do you need?
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
If you were to go talk to her.
Yes, I was planning on that, but that's a long time, Cullen.
I am aware, but with two of our visions,
Right, okay, I'll stand guard. I'll stand at the entrance, and as soon as I see her make a movement to come back in, then I'll go distract her. While that, can you protect him or cover him or, I don't know, stand next to him and coddle him? Whatever helps the process.
I don't know if I can assist him in any way, but I can.
Begin your card, whatever you're doing, just begin it. I'll go stand and watch and see what I can do.
I quickly fumbled my pack and I grabbed out some incense and a few other ingredients that I needed to, and I just set them up in front of me and quickly just light them, and a little bit of smoke trails come up, and I sit down cross-legged in front of them. And this is the first time you've actually seen me cast real spells without using my cards. It seems very foreign to you that I'm using somatic and verbal incantations that is not normally accustomed
Very
to. Jarring. And it seems very jarring for me, Cullen, actually doing them, like it isn't something he's practiced as much in. But it was something that he spent all night preparing for in his long rest. And I'm going to cast Legend Law.
Okay.
Can I stand at the entrance of the dome
Yeah.
and watch subtly see what
Yeah,
she's...
absolutely. So she's currently standing as Tordrad saw her, so she's right on the border of the shadows where it becomes light, and has her arms folded behind her, her hands clasped. And the wind is sort of just brushing against her slightly as she has her eyes closed and facing the direction of the Chronolith.
So it says I'm not asking about the dragon rasp with the Chronolith. It says name of described person, place, or object. I'm describing Gary, as in herself.
Yep.
And then I'll get lore that hasn't been widely known, or it's not. You think you know the spell, so.
Yep.
Don't.
I think I have to make you leave.
Oh my god! Don't say that. I'm going to go three
sorry.
times.
Third time. I'm sorry.
Well,
It's going to be like gold now.
It's okay.
Every
I
session
got
is
my
like-
time.
Legend.
I was about to say that has to give more information than what he got from it.
100%. Okay.
And it's not exactly riddled.
No.
It's like,
Yep.
yeah, I should keep this spell around. It's like,
Very good.
it's like, wow, it's the cards where I could just get all the information.
Just get everything you know. So, the ritual throws you back into a trance. The first thing that you see is constellations arranged in a ring. They're constellations you're familiar with, but they look ancient now, surrounded by nebulae and other stars that have burned out centuries ago. And as you watch, each of these constellations falls from the sky, and they're surrounded by a different form of energy, one encased in fire, another one in shadows, one in light. They all have an aspect of their own, and they fall to the earth. And you see yourself with a bird's eye view of the continent that you live on, of Zebriodan, but primitive and ancient. Something that you would have seen a long time ago. As you watch where the constellations fall, their energy that surrounded them spreads out, and it forms into the shape, each of a different kind of dragon. Those dragons at first seem to be in harmony, and there's an ebb and flow of the energy between all of them that they seem to be drawing, and as you look up, there's still sort of these tendrils, almost dust, funneling down from the stars where they fell. And out of them, more and more little figures of small dragons, wreathed within the same energy of its progenitor, is spreading out. But then eventually, this ebb and flow of energy begins to stop giving and taking, and it starts to clash. And borders form, and divisions. And then eventually, some of them push harder than others. And the one that seems to be gaining the most ground out of all of them is this shadowy black mass that is pushing against the others and carving out territory across the whole continent. And you watch as the dragons that it's forming from its own energy take strange shapes. They grow unusual horns and into weird amalgamations, sprouting tentacles, just aberrant creatures. And then, all of a sudden, these forces that it was pushing against form into a ring around it and begin to smother it. And then you watch as you see the forms of multiple dragons, and now one that you recognize as Gairi being surrounded by these other dragons, and then cast out seemingly into oblivion. And she vanishes from the map, her territory vanishing as well, and except for a single pinprick that you see at the very north of Citrinia. But other than that, nothing seems to belong to the Shadow Dragon. And from that tiny pinprick on the map, you feel this overwhelming, pulsating regret, agony, and rage just seething across the entire continent. and you feel a millennia worth of Gary's anger flood into you as you realize that she does not have any love for these creatures that she calls her siblings.
Is that pinprick her? Or is it a part of her, or is it like, because you said she's gone, like...
Seems to be, it could be her or her territory. Wherever she was forced to go when met with resistance from the other
Oh, so
dragons.
that point was where she was
That's
banished?
all she's left with.
Was that the point where she was banished from?
Where she was banished to, supposedly.
So that was the point where the dragons surrounded her.
Yes.
Is the part in North Saturnia
Yep.
where...
It's a little pinprick.
Is that where we are now?
No.
Okay. Okay. But we are in Saturnia. No, we're not in Saturnia. In Tugal. Okay.
You are outside of Saturnia and in the frontier. So the fact that she has one tiny bit of territory
And she's not there now.
is questioned.
How is she here now? Okay. But it doesn't tell me anything about her other than anything about her like displacement to like if she has like a brother or like anything about her name or
There seems to be a familial feeling between all of the dragons that were once constellations,
Okay. So technically it could be her brother
Yeah.
type of thing.
but not necessarily in a good way.
Okay. I had to write down a lot trans notes.
In the time he's doing it, the 10 minutes, has Gary moved?
So, in the time that he's been doing that, she is clearly aware of your presence just outside, and she takes a deep breath.
I'm trying not to make it look obvious that I'm watching her specifically.
Make a performance check.
Looking out to the water.
Are you going near her, or are you just kind of like at the door?
I'll go near her. I feel like staying at the door is more suspicious.
Yeah.
What if you are looking at her?
I'm gonna slowly approach her.
Yep.
Checking her out.
Hey girl.
As you walk up to her, she takes a deep breath.
My apologies. I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you still need a roll?
Not at all. Yes, please.
Cool. And I'll use Flash of Genius.
Mhm.
So 21.
You're very convincing in just trying to provide her some company. The sigh that she gave does not seem to be one of exasperation, but you feel almost like relief flooding through her as she just exhales.
Nearly 1,000 years. You live long, elf. Your family has. But you have no idea what centuries is like with no one like you. And at last, at long last, I will be reunited with my family. You cannot fathom how that feels.
Can I do an insight check?
Yes.
Natural 20.
Oh shit!
Everyone leave the room.
I'm not gonna do that again.
Hey, let me get up here.
She
Come
is-
on.
It is absolutely obvious that she is eager and has been waiting for this day. It is not just relief that is filling her voice. It's faint. Very few people would have picked up on it. But there is a distinct tinge of bloodlust in her voice.
Right. For family, of course. May I ask you something?
Of course.
What do you intend to do once we free your brother? Besides, of course, be reunited with family. What is your purpose?
I will show this world true power.
Well, I'm excited to see that.
She looks down at you.
As am I.
Would I be clocking that it's past the time that he's completed?
Yep.
Right, well.
There's been like long pauses where she's just kind of been ruminating to herself.
Well, I'll go grab the others, and I best think we'd be off shortly.
Please do.
I'll scurry off to them.
And so and I'm packing up my incense and like as you get back because I'm trying to hide the smoke and just
It's like trying to come with a spell of weed.
yeah, basically.
Mom's coming shit. I'm just holding my.
Dio.
Yeah.
What are you trying? Never mind.
Well, the good thing is this worked probably better than the cards because the information was quite clear.
Now, just quickly, are you talking quietly?
I've always talked quietly.
Cullen is always talking
He's
quietly.
very soft spoken.
Mistake.
Am I too loud?
You are now.
Cullen, what did you actually do?
I received knowledge based on the legends regarding Gary.
What did you find?
Not so much unlike what your god had told you. I do believe that you are correct in that we need to protect the dragon from her, and that she is not our ally in this. But from what I can tell, she wasn't lying about him being family. It's from ancient times. It seems that the dragon, or supreme dragons as they are, came down to Zebriodan over the different continent regions, and that was all part of the harmony of everything before us. But then I don't know what caused it. There seemed to be some sort of disruption where, from what I could tell, Gary rebelled against the others, to the point where it was impacting the lands not in a good way, up until a point where it nearly got to a point where they were all gone, but something happened and they seem to have banished her from this plane.
She has mentioned that she's not spoken to another of her kind for a long time. Maybe
But
she's trapped.
what I've gathered is when she was banished was not anywhere near where we are now. So it's not only does that raise the question of how did she get back, but why is she here in this place?
Well, if she rules over the Shadowfell, wouldn't that be the place they banished her to? Which means we know that she came from the Shadowfell, and she's made her way back. And if they banished her, I mean, she wants revenge. I mean, that's what I would want with family. But that begs the question. I just spoke to her. And while she wants to be reunited with her family, I could sense a type of anger, like bloodlust, if you would, towards being reunited with her brother. Could that be the protection that your god was speaking of?
I think so.
How are you supposed to protect a dragon from a dragon? Especially without Silas or Nephris or any other help. This was
We
way...
will receive aid.
Are you so sure?
More sure than I've ever been in my life.
The three of us against a black dragon?
I like those odds. Oh, I think you mean 4. The trap will open and King will just hop up onto my shoulder. It's quite rude of you, Cullen.
Yeah, as you forget.
X on my shoulder twice for danger.
Yeah.
Just keeps pecking. It's danger.
You can't delay. She wants you to be this key, so...
Well then, let's be off. But keep in mind, You need to watch what she does and be ready to act.
Always.
Do I have your word, Cullen, that you will actually do something when the time comes?
I've assisted in everything.
I know, you just get a bit jittery sometimes, and it concerns me.
It's more so against fellow human creatures, but when it comes to creatures of other planes, or dragons and stuff, I won't shy away from the fight.
Excellent.
Good to know.
Right, well, now that we know that, shall we? And I'll just gesture towards the door.
Gary's waiting. She hasn't moved from the same spot, just meditatively, just prepared for what's coming today.
Are we ready, mortals?
Absolutely.
Nice and rested.
At last. And she takes an almost hesitant step out into the sunlight and begins striding forward, her wings fluttering as she aids her gait, walking very briskly in the direction of the Chronolith. Crossing this land bridge, which again is about 1 kilometre in length, you're struck once more by the sheer majesty of the construction in front of you. The tower is somehow both completely illogical, impossible even in how it's constructed, and its engineering. And yet, it has been fabricated so seamlessly that its ability to perfectly perform whatever function it was designed for is undeniable. And with each step across the bridge, you feel the blood pounding in your ears, and the chanting of the orcs behind you growing louder, more galvanizing, as they continue to chant, "For the shadows, for the shadows." But you realize, Cullen, after a moment, that you were mistaken with your limited grasp of the language, and it is not for the shadows, but from the shadows into the blood, is what they keep repeating. And walking...
That's unsettling.
Yeah. And walking along the land bridge, Gary's focus is just razor sharp, and she continues striding with her gait unbroken. But as you're walking along, with this very eerie chanting happening around you, and this unbelievably placid lake, Cullen, you notice out of the corner of your eye, you seem to feel as though you see just this whisper of silk and a faint ripple on the water. But as you turn your head to look, it's gone. And you sort of shake your head and continue onwards, thinking it just a trick of the light now that you're in this blinding radiance after being in the dark for so long. And it's not too long until Gary begins to speak to try and fill the space. And she begins mumbling nonsense about, again, repeating how long she's waited for this moment, and that soon she'll be able to spread knowledge across the entire plane. And she goes on with new information. She says,
I struggled to find my brother at first. His prison was well hidden. But the master presence of the orcs and the pilgrimage they took to this place, they drew me in. And soon, I had a new home amongst these creatures. And they revered me, recognizing my relationship with the tower. And now at last, I will give them the god that they've been waiting for. With your help, elf.
she looks over her shoulder at you.
Of course.
You reach the base of the tower. Its golden figure looming over you. In front of you is a circle of concentric brass bands, all in rings, that sort of create this illusion that they're swirling towards the middle. And when you've come right in front of them, you realize that each of those brass rings is turning, constantly in motion. Beside this ostensible entrance to the building is a small plaque fixed onto the side of the Chronolith. And in simple, common calligraphy, it reads a single word. Savantius.
Let's get a spell.
Savantius.
Come on, that one's intuitive.
I don't trust silent letters. No, I wasn't make sure you're right.
I just
silly-
don't,
I
I
do
just don't
silly
trust Rob.
I do silly stuff. The brass bands are inscribed with markings, but as they swirl, it's impossible to know if these markings bear any kind of significance, or whether they're just part of the overall magical component of the building. Gary turns and faces you with her profile.
This is as far as I've ever come. I cannot breach this entrance. I have spent hundreds of years hurling magic at it, trying to smash it down in my gargantuan form. Nothing has allowed me to enter. But you seem different. Or like my brother. Perhaps you can open it.
She looks at it almost longingly.
Well, no time like the present. Let's get this on with.
Mhm.
And I'll just walk past her to go towards it.
You notice as well that the bands of brass are huge. Like, they're enormous, but they make no noise as they turn, apart from just like a general whooshing of air as they pass around you. But there's no grinding of gears, despite the fact that this must be an ancient building, which has been working for thousands of years, apparently.
Fascinating. Right. Well, they'll be coming with me, I assume.
I assure you, more will be entered.
I thought you couldn't pass further.
I said I couldn't open it. I didn't say I couldn't go inside.
Mistake. Then, may I take them?
Please.
Of course. I'll give a sharp look back to you, but
I'll follow behind him.
You are in front of this swirling mass of brass, and currently have very few clues as to how to open it.
I just put my hand on it just to feel the.
Yeah, it doesn't have any form of resistance against it. It's just perfectly smooth brass. It's immaculately made, and it looks, at the same time, ancient, but has no weather wearing to it.
I do an Arcana check on a potential of how I should proceed towards.
Absolutely, you can.
Guidance.
Is this?
With guidance. Guidance.
Is it actually?
A natural 20.
Nice.
It's appropriate.
Guidance on anyway.
Do you want me to do guidance and plus the Arcana?
Sure.
Is it a D?
Just see
Is it
what
a 4?
Yeah, it's different.
So that's
See what it is.
that's plus 9 on Arcana, so 29, and plus 2, so 31.
And that's what it is.
He realizes that. like,
You watch as they move, and what should only be obvious to someone who has seen the rings when they stop. You can see that just in the briefest of moments as they pass by each other, you figure out that the markings on the rings, if they stopped in the right formation, would make draconic letters.
Do I know how? Would I know how to stop them?
You glance over at the plaque, and without thinking, just instinctively, you say what you now recognize as a name that at the same time is somehow exceptionally familiar, but one you've never heard before. Just leave your mouth, and you utter the word Savantius. And the rings slow. One stops, then another, until they form a perfect circle. And the seams between the rings apparently never existed. It's a solid wall, engraved with draconic writing, which you can read.
Convenient, very convenient.
And, I mean, it's up to you whether or not you translate them. But Gary can read it, so she might. The words say, If you utter my name, I am slain. What am I?
I'll repeat it back to them as I say it aloud. If you utter my name, I am slain. What am I?
Gary walks up beside you.
Typical riddles.
You didn't try to read the name on the clock.
The name.
Of course I did. It didn't do anything for me.
She looks at it almost like irritated.
Well, I don't know. I'm not a riddle
You're the
person.
smartest one.
Yeah, I don't do riddles. It's boring. Let me think on it.
What was the riddle again? I just forgot.
If you utter my name, I am slain.
Just need to write it down.
It's just googling it real quick.
No. It's just.
It's
one
not
document.
obvious, like slain. Just saying the word slain.
She, Gary looks around expectantly. No.
Well, I thought it'd be maybe an obvious one or something.
That's not.
Utter
What
my
do we know
name.
about this?
My brother liked a riddle about me once. Said the more of me that there is, the less you can see. Darkness. Shadow Dragon. He thought it was very funny.
I like semantics.
It's obviously something like that.
We're stupid. You got too much faith in us giving us a riddle.
Time?
I was actually thinking time. Nothing happens when
Nothing
you say
happens when you say time.
me or him.
Either of you.
Could I do a history? Can I do a history
You
check?
can do a history check.
When you can't figure it out yourself, use the DM.
Yeah.
Alright, if I get another nat 20, this would be great.
Guidance.
I don't believe you.
No, it's still pretty good, but guidance?
You still have it on you.
Yeah, and I'll use Flash of Genius.
Of
as
course.
well. I
Mate, it's the right time. This is the right time to have a flash of genius.
Yeah, that's true.
makes sense. Sorry.
Oh, I know.
Say it.
Silence.
At the exact same time,
Nice.
Jhaeros says, "Silence!" and like overrides you as you like.
Like you're halfway through saying it.
Ironically, silencing you.
Did you Google that?
No, I literally just
He
figured,
wasn't
because it was
looking
time I was thinking of, and I was like,
So I was at 22.
Yeah.
because it was the other thing, the other riddle that you said about the shadow. I'm like, it has to be.
Good one.
Yeah,
That was good.
I figured it out.
Well done. I figured it out through roll.
Gary again looks around expectantly. She's like,
That would be appropriate.
and you say the word silence as loud as you can. But nothing happens.
Interesting.
Maybe in Draconic.
Okay, right. Silence, and I said in Draconic.
Parentheses.
Yeah. Nothing happens. And Gary thinks,
Of course.
and as she does this, all of the sound around you vanishes as she casts silence on the door.
Yeah, I don't have that.
I do not either.
It begins to shift backwards, and then it turns. And as it turns, the seams of the rings begin to reappear, and it appears to turn into nothingness until it vanishes, just spiraling and carving away. Inside, it is brightly lit, blindingly so. But you can hear, now that the door has opened, not the grinding of gears, but the constant whirring of cogs in machinery, the occasional spark of lightning coming from some mechanism, and the constant rushing noise of water and steam, or liquid and steam through pipes. Gary smiles, chuckles.
Finally.
And she takes a single step through the door.
I will promptly follow her, very close behind.
And that is where we'll leave it.